Hello, my name is Anna Vick, and I'm an instructor here at Colorado Christian University. This video lecture will be focused on the use of the CCU library website for academic research. So the first place to start is good old Google. If you don't have the CCU library website link handy, this is the best way to get there. You'll type CCU library database into Google, and you'll find libguides.ccu.edu. It's also called Home Library, Clifton Fowler Library. This is the link you'll want to click. You could also take this, libguides.ccu.edu, and type that into the search bar. But what I'm going to do is just click on it. So Home Library, Clifton Fowler. Okay, now you'll see this blue and this yellow tab. So when you're looking for academic journal articles, this is anytime you see peer-reviewed research, academic sources. When you see that in the prompt for your assignment, you'll know that this is the best place to start. You might find academic journal articles on other websites such as Google Scholar or somewhere out there on the internet, but the concern is that oftentimes you might be expected to pay money for those. And through the CCU website that we're looking at right now, you can access an enormous number of academic journal articles that are peer-reviewed, reliable sources, and they are free to you as you attend CCU. So what I'm going to do is click on the Articles tab, and I'm going to be typing my topic in here. So for an example we're going to look at the effects of divorce in men. So I'll first start by just typing the word divorce in general and hit search. And that search button's right over here to the right. And it'll bring up another page for me. Now I actually have already logged in. If I had not yet logged in, I would need to put in my CCU username and password that I use to get into all my other CCU accounts in order to get to this page. So if you see a login, you'll just put in your CCU username and password, and that'll get you to what I'm looking at right now. Okay, so even though my topic for research in this example is going to be divorce and its effects on men in particular, I'm just going to start really broad here just to show you what we're looking at. We'll just start with the topic of divorce, okay? So we want to type it into this search bar. There are options for even 2 or more words. You can see we can add even more together. But if our topic gets too narrow and we say divorce and men and custody and infidelity and this and that, then it could get to be such a narrow search that we struggle to come up with a sufficient number of reliable sources. So that's why we're provided with the main topic here plus 2 others. Okay, and you can pull down and or depending upon what kind of search you're trying to do. We'll look into the example for that in just a moment here. But first we're starting with divorce. So there are 3 boxes that we really need to click on the left-hand side of this screen if we want to find full text academic peer-reviewed journal articles that we can access here and now. These 3 boxes are first, full text. Second, peer-reviewed. You'll see I'm clicking them right here on the left-hand side under Limit To, full text peer-reviewed. And third, academic journals right here under Source Types. And if all 3 of those boxes are checked, I'm going to have a much higher likelihood of finding the right kinds of sources. Anytime I do a new search with any new terminology, I need to check here on the left-hand side and make sure that all 3 are still clicked and are showing up as blue. Okay, so here are several options for research studies. I'm just going to pick one that appears interesting to me right now, and obviously if you're working on a big research paper, you'll be looking through maybe many different articles, but I'm selecting this one right here. I see that it's a 2020 article, so it's fairly recent, and it's called Trajectories of Life Satisfaction Before, Upon, and After Divorce. So evidence about how life is working out and what kinds of satisfaction people are reporting before and during and after a divorce. And I think that one looks pretty interesting. It tells me here it's an academic journal. So I'm just going to click on the title, and this is how I'll get to the article. You'll see that this screen is loading, and there are several different options for ways to download this article. You can even just scroll down and you'll see text of the article here. But what I generally prefer to do so that I can save it is download as a PDF. And when I find my PDF, I can hit this button up here and download it. And then I can have it saved to my computer wherever I choose to move it. Okay, so this is my abstract. Obviously, you're familiar with reading these academic journal articles. This is a brief summary of the main ideas of the study. And then as I go, I can find a literature review regarding the reasoning behind this study and why it's important to examine. And then this will dive into the methods for the research. So in any kind of research study where you have participants, you're going to be looking for a method section. What was the sample? Who were the people participating? And what exactly did we do with them for this study? So measures, what were we measuring and how were we measuring it? What other factors were we examining? You'll find a big old table of results here. That's really helpful information for us. And you'll see smaller notes in this text down here to help us interpret the table. And then as we move on, we'll see a write-up for the results section. This is going to explain to us the results of the study. And more information here for this particular article. We've got a pretty complicated looking visual with a summary. But as I go, I will hit a section, continuing down, called the discussion question. And this is kind of putting it all into plain English. So results is going to be more of that numerical, the data, the number crunching, and the exact outcomes of the study. But discussion is going to talk about why is this important, what's the big picture meaning, and what does this connect to in our everyday lives and in the world, okay? So this is kind of a big old summary. Limitations of the study. This is always important to look into what could have been done better or what might have impacted our results or why might this not paint the full picture because no research study is ever perfect. And then the future direction suggestions, you can see right here, we hope that our study inspires future longitudinal research, etc., etc. So this is the researchers who have published this article saying, here's what we found and here's what people should look into in the future. Side note, if you're ever looking to publish your own research in the future, a good place to find ideas for research studies that you could do is to look at limitations sections for our future directions sections for articles that were interesting to you and see if you can build on study that somebody else has done, taking it into one of those future directions. The conclusion is going to be a brief summary of the study, just kind of restating the main ideas. So if you feel a little confused by anything in the results section, the discussion and the conclusion will be really helpful just to summarize what they're talking about with maybe fewer numbers involved, and then obviously the references for the study. So that is a pretty interesting academic journal article. I'm going to hit the back arrow. And now I want to narrow this down a little bit. So I'm going back to my search page, and I would like to find out what kind of research exists that focuses on divorce and effects on men. So I'm going to type men right here, and I know that I'm searching for divorce and men. Hit the search button. Now what I need to check and make sure here on the side, full text is still checked, peer-reviewed is still checked. I will need to recheck academic journals under source types. And now I see that it is indeed checked. All three of these are checked. Interesting. Articles popping up for us already. So let's see. Men Don't Cry. And this is a study about South African men's experiences of divorce. And I think that one looks pretty relevant for what I'm looking into. So I'm going to click on it. That's a 2018 study. I can see right here, so I know it's fairly recent. Okay, so I want to find the PDF or the full text itself, and I don't see that easily accessible PDF document that I did. So instead I'm going to click on Full Text Finder, and this typically will get you to the article. It says if the page does not display, open the page in a new window. So you'll just click that little link right there, and lo and behold, here is my article. I'm going to click on the PDF. And I found this green box right here, just so I can see the whole entire thing. And as I scroll down, here we are again. We got the abstract and literature review and findings and the discussion down below. This looks like a very interesting study, okay? This is a 2018, so it's always nice to have that more recent research. So that's an example of an article where we don't have that convenient PDF link here. Some of them won't, but typically if you click Full Text Finder, you'll be able to get to it. Another interesting function of the CCU library that might be relevant for you is to click on the button Cite. And that is over here on the right-hand side. So for any academic journal article that you find in the CCU library, you can then scroll down, you'll find APA format, and you'll find an APA citation here. Now, don't just copy and paste it without examining it, because this is a machine, right? It's a computer, it's not a human painstakingly creating the APA format citation. So what you will find is that there are sometimes mistakes in here. So don't just copy and paste them. You'll still want to look at your APA resources for the most updated edition. Make sure that you're citing correctly. For instance, there might be capitalizations in here that should not be capitalized in the accurate APA format. So do double check these, but they're a really beautiful place to start if you want to work on that APA format citation. They are automatically generated here through the CCU library. So I'm going to go back to my search here. I'd searched for divorce in men, and now I'm interested, I want to think about the effects of divorce on men who are parenting. So I think I'm going to just change the word men to fathers here, because that indicates not only that the person is a man, but that the person is also parenting. Okay, so then I'm scrolling down, finding some interesting articles again here. This is a 2013 article that I'm going to check out. That is a little bit older, but it's still interesting to investigate. So this one is repartnering following divorce. Oh, and I got to click this left-hand side, academic journals. Forgot to recheck that. We got to make sure that's always checked. So now, luckily, that click of academic journals did not eliminate this article that I was interested in, because it still shows here as academic journal. So this is about implications for older fathers' relations with their adult children. I'm going to click on the article title. And here, this one has a handy PDF link on the left-hand side. So I can go ahead and click that. And here is my article. This is a study that focuses on the post-divorce fathers' new unions and stepchildren and relationships, and that's a lot of content. That could be a very interesting study. One more, I'm just clicking back here to my search. I see that all three of these blue boxes are still checked. And as I scroll down, parenting of divorced fathers and the associations with children's self-esteem. Very interesting. So now we're looking at parenting, the effects on children, and particularly people who are fathers who have been divorced. So I'll click on PDF for that one. And here's my article. Same thing, here's an abstract, and as I go down, you'll see those same sections that rise up for your reading and for your analysis. So that's a little summary of best tips for CCU online library use. If you've got questions, please let me know. Happy researching!